Bwrdd croeso, good morning and welcome to today's extraordinary board meeting. As is usual custom and practice at the moment, the board meeting has been held virtually and people are able to watch live, and a link will be posted on the website if anyone wishes to catch up with the meeting after it's concluded. There will be a link to our YouTube channel. Simultaneous translations are not available today, I'm afraid, due to the extraordinary nature of the meeting. And there will be no breaks, and we're due to conclude by around 11:25. I'll now proceed with the agenda. Apologies for absence. We've had apologies from David Selway and Sam Lloyd, and Marilyn Wynne Jones is in transit, and she may well be able to join us on audio only. She will endeavour to do so if she can. I've had no other apologies. I'm looking around the table. I don't see.
Simon, just Alistair, I think.
Oh, Alistair isn't with us at the moment. So, Alistair Neil is an apology, and also I should have mentioned welcome Carwyn Lloyd Jones, who's attending on behalf of Sam Lloyd. Declarations of interest, none have been conveyed to me before the meeting. Have any occurred to anyone since the papers were distributed? No, thank you very much. If I then move on to the main agenda, the single item on the agenda, which is a strategic procurement report, and I'm going to invite Ivan Evans, the Exec Director of Strategy, to introduce, and I know he's joined with Michelle Seld, our Director of Planning and Performance and Chief Commercial Officer, and I think some of her colleagues as well for this item. Hand over to you, Ivan.
Diolch yn fawr iawn. Simon, thank you very much for the introduction. I've got a very short task today, which is to just to hand over really to Michelle as our Chief Commercial Officer. It's the only item on the agenda today. It's a major commercial contract, so she will walk board members through the position and the recommendations that are in the paper.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Chair. And I've also got, if I just introduce Alison Maguire, hopefully you'll be familiar to colleagues. So Alison is the Programme Director for Diagnostics. If you've got a difficult question on subject matter, I will point to Alison in the follow-up session. But I'm here today to present a contract. I'm presenting it for the approval of the board to move forward to award because of the value of the agreement. So I'll just take some high-level details, and then, as I said, happy to take any questions, or Alison will take any questions. So the contract we're proposing to award is to Philips, who are the supplier, who have been identified as a result of a competitive procurement, quite a big procurement exercise, undertaken, led by the team in DHCW, but undertaken on behalf of all of the health boards and trusts who use radiology services in NHS Wales. A collaborative procurement operating under the governance of a board with an external SRO who's led that process. So the agreement that DHCW is considering today is the Master Services Agreement. I'm going to come on to that a little bit in terms of what that means for us as an organisation. Colleagues will recall when the board met at the end of May, you considered the full business case actually for this investment. And there was some discussion then about the kind of benefits and the objectives of the investment as moving forward. So I'm pleased to say that the full business case was presented to all of the health boards and trusts again, almost simultaneously with that board meeting. So in their meetings at the end of May, they all considered the business case and the investment position, and all of the boards approved the business case. So happy that I can now confirm that to our board. At that point, we were in discussion, we didn't necessarily know, but all of the health boards and trusts boards also approved the full business case, and that's quite important to the contract that we're proposing to move forward. And we've also now received confirmation from Welsh Government, who have also approved the business case and have confirmed that they would allocate central funding to the agreement. So the agreement is actually funded through a combination of central Welsh Government funding and also funding from the health boards and trusts who will be using the services. So that really points me to the value of the agreement. So you'll note there's a total value against the agreement, which is just over 47 million over the full term of the agreement. So the Master Services Agreement, that's the DHCW part of that, is for a 5-year period. There's the option to extend that for a further 2 years. All of the health boards and trusts then will enter into their own direct contractual arrangements under that sort of overarching framework, if you like. So this is a model hopefully colleagues will have seen we've used in other areas. So they create that direct contractual relationship, and the 47 million then is a reflection of the expenditure under all of those local contracts through the maximum term. And again, the term of the deployment or the call-off orders that the Health Boards and Trusts will enter into, they have a minimum period of live service. So they obviously have an implementation deployment phase, a minimum period of live service of 5 years, and they also have the opportunity to extend those for a further 2-year period. And that's perfectly acceptable. You can probably work out in the logic there is a bit of a phased deployment. The deployment orders themselves can extend beyond the term of the master services agreement that we're agreeing today. So again, looking particularly at DHCW and the obligations in the agreement, as I said, we are entering into an overarching agreement. The actual liabilities, if you like, and risks under that agreement are limited. And the majority of the funding and risks flow through the individual contracts that will be held, as I say, directly between the Health Boards and Trusts and the supplier. Through those contracts, they will be calling off a range of services. Again, I think we probably got into this a bit with the full business case where it's articulated very well, I think, by the team. But it's a combination, just a quick reminder of the radiology information system. So this is a system currently provided, actually developed in-house and provided by Digital Health and Care Wales. So we will be retiring that system and transitioning to the new product as it rolls out across Wales. There's the picture archive and communication system. So again, we've been operating a national contract for PACS across Wales now for over 10 years now, quite successfully, I think. And this is the renewal aspect of the contract, if you like, will be that we are now renewing with another single provider across Wales, which brings quite a lot of benefit in terms of service delivery. And also there's the aspect of patient dose management. So those are all included. It's a fully managed service, end-to-end service that Philips will be providing under the contracts as we move forward. So that was a quick summary, really. As I said, happy to take questions, but I'm now presenting it. As I said, we have had approval from Welsh Government, so for the approval of this board to move forward to execute the Master Services Agreement.
Thank you, Michelle. Before I ask if anyone else, well, please do put your hands up. David, who can't be with us today, has raised 2 questions, which I'll ask on his behalf, if I may. So digital governance and safety have previously discussed a risk around not having sufficient PMO resource, project management or resource to run Link and RISP in parallel. Do we have a plan for providing you, Alison, with the support that you need in delivering RISP? And secondly, we've previously spoken about the need for a new subcommittee to oversee large programs. This is a potential consequence of the digital governance, the program governance review. Might it be possible to set up a shadow committee to oversee RISP ahead of us going forward with any new scrutiny committee around programs? The 2 points that I suppose the second, Chris, it might well be for you to pick up on, but the first, Michelle, around resource capacity to run these 2 major programs.
Yeah, Ivan, did you want to comment on that? I know we've been discussing that, or I'm happy to take that.
Well, we have, although you'd be closer to the work that we've been doing in terms of the consultation on peopling up those programs, Link and RISP together. So if you take the first, and then if it's okay, Simon, I'll come in on the second question, if I could. Thanks.
Yep, happy to. Thank you. So yes, you're absolutely right. Although, to be fair, Alison is here, has raised this issue. Again, colleagues will probably remember these 2 programs actually transitioned into DHCW in January this year. So these weren't programs that we owned originally, or perhaps designed in this way, which has created some constraints for us and for the Health Boards and Trusts, to be honest, because we've got 2 major implementations that will now roll out in very similar timescales. So Alison's been doing a lot of work. If I take Link particularly, so we've reorganized the Link team. Actually, we just come through a reorganization process and ensuring that we've got the right resources in place to take that program forward. We have for RISP, I think, we've got more work to do with the RISP team. I think it'd be fair to say, Alison, we've got resources identified in the full business case. So some of the funding that's now been agreed with Welsh Government will flow to our organisation in order to increase the size of the team and make sure that we've got, got our tasks followed. to be honest. And then I think, totally honestly, it will take some careful management now over the next year or so, because we know we've made some big changes on Link as well. So it's about trying to align those two things. Resourcing up into the risk team, I think, would be the immediate challenge, and then making sure that we've got the right management and support, around Alison and the team to take it forward. Did you want to add anything to that, Alison? I know you've been doing a lot of work with the team.
Yeah, no, just to echo what you said, we've been working with the teams and DHCW technical delivery teams and with the supplier to work out the scope and what's needed to deliver this. They're still ongoing, but we are engaging with all the relevant teams to work this through.
Thank you both. Ivan, do you want to pick up on the second point?
Yes, thank you. So with regard to the Shadow Committee, we have met as a Shadow Programmes Delivery Board or Delivery Group, which is aimed at trialling our approach to providing assurance at the board level across all of our programmes. For the time being, that assurance is provided specifically for programmes through the DGNS committee, which is meeting within a few weeks, I believe, chaired by Rowan. So we have existing mechanisms there. The risk programme's got a programme board, which provides its own assurance and has through the life of the programme thus far. And we have our regular reporting and assurance mechanisms, management board internally as an executive function, but also financial assurance and risk assurance and various other things. So RISP and Link have both been fully integrated into those processes since we took them on from the collaborative in January of this year. So and especially given the pace at which things have gone over the last few months and our well, let's call it onboarding of these programs, we've been paying very, very close attention, and there's been a more than is usual level of assurance and scrutiny and management oversight in both of these programs, which hopefully will settle down because as we need to have a balance across our whole portfolio. So we've got a variety of mechanisms in place, including at the portfolio level. I don't think that a specific shadow, another additional shadow program board for RISP specifically is appropriate, because I feel confident that we're picking it up through all the different mechanisms that we have already.
Thank you, Ivan. Rowan, you've got your hand up.
Thank you, Simon. Just reflecting on, there's some critical components of this rollout that are fundamental to the delivery of clinical services. I know Rydian has mentioned in the past, having a unified PACS for Wales allows him to call up images wherever he is and make timely decisions about clinical healthcare patient data. So really pleasing to see that's coming through. Can I just be clear that the new PACS is not the same as the old PACS, and there is a requirement to transfer the historical information so that all of those comparisons that need to be made with clinical images can continue to be made on the clinical front line.
Is that an Alison question, Michelle, or yeah, go on, Alison. Well, you're coming off mute? Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, I'm having problems with my audio. So yeah, we're working with all the teams and the health boards on the delivery of this and how we can maximize the benefits and get this in the time scale. So it's quite early days with the health board teams, as obviously we're waiting for the FBC to be fully approved and the contract awarded. Philips are doing some early discovery discussions with us, but now we've got the FBC approved and we're approving to award the contract. We'll get into the real detail and work through everything with the teams now.
Does that pick your point up, Rowan?
I think Alison is just reflecting the current state and the interplay in delivering these complex systems that requires everyone to work together. And we're obviously operating in a challenging period in Wales. And so that communication both within and without of DHCW will be critical. And I'm sure we'll hear more updates via future boards on how we're progressing. So I think that's all that we can expect right now.
Yeah, Helen, did you want to come in on this point?
Yeah, just to clarify, so our current arrangements are with Fujifilm, and this is a new supplier that we will need to migrate, as Alison said, working that through with the local health boards and trusts in terms of the migration of that data into the Philips solution.
Okay, I don't see any other hands up, questions, comments. So if I could then ask the board if you are happy to approve the award of the contract that's been presented today. That looks like everyone is. So thank you very much for that. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Alison. I appreciate you have had some struggling with your audio, so it worked fine. Just for sake of completeness, I've had a message from Marilyn saying that she's unable to get Zoom to work on her mobile device, so hasn't been able to join us. So if we could record her apologies, please, Chris. And also Alistair's had some technical difficulties as well, so if we could report his formal apologies. There's no other items of business, so thank you all very much for attending this morning, this extraordinary board meeting, and I'll bring the meeting to a close. Talking about all that.